Are prices going up? Are they coming down? Is there a false slowdown happening? And is the election going to affect home prices and the market? We're gonna pack all of that for you today, bringing you our monthly market report like we do each and every month. Stay till the end and we'll share with you the impact we think the election will have on home prices. First of all, let's start with average home price, where we start every month. We're at $869,000 right now in Snohomish County, which is up about 5%. So what does this mean? What does this translate to? It comes out to about a $6,500 a month payment if you put a minimal amount down. So that can definitely feel like a stretch for some people. For other people, not as big of a deal. It just depends on the person. But that's just the average, okay? So there's other peripheral areas that may be less expensive. Some of those areas where you can get a home for more like $600,000 to $700,000 might be Granite Falls, Sultan, Gold Bar, Stanwood, Arlington, places like that you gotta drive a little bit, but you might save a lot. We've seen consistently this year home prices going up 5 to 6% from the same period of last year, which is basically the trend that we expected. Rates have calmed down a little bit, they've come down, and so we've seen prices continue to stabilize and even to start to appreciate again after they've gone down a little bit last year.
In accordance with still seeing home prices increasing. So we're still seeing a 5% appreciation year over year with average home prices. This year, and specifically this last month, new listings in the market are up 19%. So 20% more new listings came on last month than the previous year in the same month. So that's telling us that people are trusting the market a little bit more now, right? Where there was a lot of uncertainty in regards to the interest rates and a lot of people not wanting to sell or not able to sell because home prices had plateaued in 2023. We are now seeing people having more confidence in the market and putting more homes on the market. So a lot of new listings being up is a really, really fantastic thing for buyers in this market.
Yeah, when rates were like 8% or even like high sevens, it was a tough pill to swallow for most sellers to want to give up that 3% legacy low rate to trade that for an 8% rate, right? But as rates have come down to like 6%, that becomes something that makes more sense. It's a big reason why we're seeing a lot of new listings coming on the market. So it's awesome to see homes coming on. This is a really good thing, healthy for the market, and awesome to see after very few, kind of an anemic pace of new listings last year. The next stat is closed sales. They're up about 4% from the same time last year. So this is interesting. If we contrast this with the last stat, knowing that new listings were up 19%, but closed sales are only up 4%. Where are the rest of the new listings going? Well, they're sitting on the market. There's about 14%, that's the difference, right? And all those homes are just sitting there. So we're seeing days on market go up. We're seeing an increase in inventory across the board, more homes for sale. Closed sales are up 4%, whereas the new listings are up 19%. So that's a very, very important dynamic to think about as we see more inventory coming onto the market.
So because we're seeing this, because there's that gap between closed sales and new listings coming onto the market, what of course that means is that we have now seen the monthly supply of homes go up. So last year is at 1.5%. Now this last month, it was at 1.8%. So that's an increase of 20% would be the scary number. But 1.8 months of inventory, just if we're talking in terms of a buyer's market or a seller's market, we're still very much in a seller's market. It's just starting to lean more toward the center of being a balanced market. However, with only 1.8 months of inventory, that still very much means that it's in the seller's favor. Home prices are still going up. Buyer demand is still very high. And especially with the change in interest rates compared to last year, it's a recipe for really good deals to be had for buyers and sellers to still be capitalizing on appreciation and equity that they have in their home.
The 1.8 months of inventory is a big increase from earlier this year. Like, we're contrasting year over year, but if we go back to April and May, we had 0.8 months of inventory at one point. Right. So inventory has gone up more than 100% during that period of time. This has resulted in a dynamic in the market where you have a miss on expectations between buyers and sellers. There's a gap. Sellers are expecting multiple offers, their home to escalate. Buyers are skeptical, buyers have anxiety, and they have options now because inventory has gone up. And so there's kind of a gap in expectations between buyers and sellers in the current market that we haven't seen for quite a while. The inventory of homes, it's up 20%. I alluded to that earlier. When you got all these new listings coming on and you've got less of that closing into sales, then you're going to have an increased inventory. Obviously, that's what we've got going on right now. Buyers have more options. Sellers, super important that you remember that buyers shop by comparison, and there are homes right now for them to compare against your home. Are you pricing your home to stand out and sell your house, or are you pricing it to actually have the other homes, the competition, stand out and to sell that home? You have to price your home very correctly right now, or it's going to sit on the market. I've seen so many price reductions going on. Like, the amount of price reductions is almost as high as the new listings each week in our market right now, because you've got sellers just shooting for the stars on price and they're not pricing their home competitively. When you're pricing a home right now, it's not only important to look at recent comps in the last 60 days and not going back 6 or 8 months, it's equally important to look at the active inventory in the market. That's your competition, people. What are you going up against? Because like I said, buyers will shop your home against all the other homes that are in that same location and that same price range. Super important to keep in mind.
That's exactly right. And you know, the way that we kind of explain it to a lot of our clients and sellers that work with us, the list price, especially the original price that you list the home when it first comes on the market, is kind of like an invitation to a party. You want it to be enticing. You don't want it to give away all the details, but you want it to be such that it appears and it has a perception of a good value in the marketplace. So to Mike's point, if you're pricing a home way above active current competition of other homes that buyers would be looking at that are in the same neighborhood, same area, same relative price point, and then you price it way, way high, you're basically telling people that you don't want them to come to your party. You're basically saying the invitation is not for you. Whereas if you bring it down and you appear as a good value compared to what else is on the market, you're gonna get more traffic, which in turn is just a numbers game, right? That's gonna lead us into the next one, which is days on market in this market. We are up to 23 days on market before a home goes under contract, which again, historically speaking, is incredibly low. It's very average. But a lot of sellers in the last 5 years, especially in the Pacific Northwest and Snohomish County, we're used to seeing 2, 3, 7 days on market. We're used to listing the home and then having an offer review date the next week and the home flying off the shelf with multiple offers. So to see an average of 23 days on market, which is 3 weeks, almost 3.5 weeks, that's a much different feel in the market. There's less of urgency for buyers and for homes. So to Mike's point, when he said that, you know, buyers are more picky, they have more options. Buyers are very typically going to see the same property 2, 3, maybe even 4 times before even putting an offer. People need to be so sure that they are excited about that house that they go see it multiple times. So that's what we're seeing with the extension of days on market. That's about 10% up from the same time last year, which is at 23.
So let's summarize what this all means, whether you're a buyer or a seller. Right now, if you're a buyer, this is your time. We say this a lot, but trust me, right now is the best opportunity you've got to buy a home over the next couple of years. The reason for that is multiple levels. You have low interest rates right now. Like we're down into the 6.25% range. They were even a little bit lower than that, like high 5s a couple of weeks ago. So rates have come down massively, but we still have a lot of homes sitting on the market. So you might be able to negotiate some closing cost credits, dollars off. You've got options right now, which you have not had for years as a buyer. Every buyer, they always look at the holidays and like, oh, I don't want to look at homes during the holidays. But if you will commit to looking at homes and keeping your home buying process going through the new year, you stand a very good chance of getting an amazing deal, simply because a lot of buyers will pull back. They don't want the inconvenience of looking at houses during Thanksgiving, during Christmas. But if you're serious about buying a house, if you want to save $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, keep looking during the holidays. This is your time to shine, your chance to win after the first of the year. I guarantee you there's going to be a rapid increase in buyer activity. Home prices are going to start going up much faster than they are now.
Historically speaking, you know, we actually looked at this in our team sales meeting a couple weeks ago, and historically speaking, 7 out of the 8 last election cycles, right, which we're in 2024. We are in an election cycle, which we'll speak to in just a minute, but 7 out of the 8 of them, with 2008 being the only exception, home prices went up the spring after the election. So we have no reason not to believe that home prices will go up yet again. So to Mike's point, if you are in the market and you're like, no, I don't want the inconvenience of seeing homes, I don't want to buy this time of year because of the holidays and this and that, you could potentially be setting yourself up to pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more if you wait to the spring. So now definitely is the time. With as much inventory is going on, like you said, you have opportunity for potential negotiations for getting closing costs covered or having the seller credit to buy rates down, depending on the market, of course, and depending on the price point.
So what does this mean for sellers? Well, sellers, you need to really reset expectations. This is not 2021. It's very likely you're not getting multiple offers on your house unless it's in very specific locations and very low price ranges. Every market is a little bit different right now, so it's very sub-market to sub-market dependent, but it could very well take your home a while to sell. We're seeing a rapid increase in the active inventory on days on market to sell. You know, we said the active days on the market is 23 right now, but for homes that are actually sitting on the market right now, it's quite a bit longer than that. It's more like 40 or 50 days in a lot of different markets. And you go into higher prices ranges, it just takes longer as well. So know that your home could take a while to sell. Doesn't necessarily mean your home's been priced incorrectly. It's just going to take longer. Those days of it selling in a day or two may not be happening like you thought they might. How do you know your home is overpriced or not? Well, if you're not getting any showings, it's a really good sign it's overpriced, right?
We also have to compare to other homes that are on the market. So, you know, I think a lot of people will get on the market and they'll kind of think, oh, well, what do we need to do? What else do we need to do to the house? What do we need to change price? And most of the time, guys, like, you're not going to do anything to the home that's going to entice buyers to magically come through. There are just times of year and of course different markets where buyer activity is a little bit slower, and that's actually quite normal. We're just not used to it. So, you know, if you're thinking of putting your house on the market, if you absolutely need to, you know, this spring or this fall, spring, make sure that you are understanding that a normal market means that the house stays on the market for a month, sometimes 2 months, and every single showing the home needs to be in absolute tip-top shape. So it's not convenient, it never has been, but it is getting back to what a normal market feels like.
I keep telling sellers too, you cannot outmarket the wrong price. So the marketing can be fantastic, the presentation can be spot on, but if the price is wrong, nobody's going to come look at it. So if you're not getting showings on a regular basis, and that's going to be unique to each submarket and price range, that's a good red flag that you've definitely priced your home incorrectly. And then if you've had the average amount of showings in the market to actually get an offer and you don't have an offer, that's another kind of sign that there's a mismatch on price. Your agent can tell you what's the average amount of showings it takes to get an offer on a house in any market. And if you're past that number, that's a really big red flag as well.
Absolutely. Definitely make sure that you ask those kinds of questions, right? What is not just the average days on market in my zip code, but what is the average showings to going under contract? Because you know, in some markets it's only 8 showings, and then in some markets in Snohomish County it's up to 18 or 25. So, you know, if we're doing some simple math, if we know that it takes on average, say 20 showings to go under contract, and we're getting say 2, maybe 3 showings a week, we can do some simple math and say, okay, it's probably going to take 8 to 10 weeks to get my home under contract in a normal state. So if you're seeing that kind of activity, you're probably in a good spot. If you're not, if people are not coming through your home, your invitation to the party, your list price is probably too high.
What about the election? Is that going to impact or influence the housing markets? The answer is no, it's not. So if you look at all the historical data, by January, after elections, home prices just go back to what they were. In fact, they actually start trending up. So that's kind of the thing that you want to be aware of. After most historical presidential elections, was like 6 out of the last 8 or something, 7 out of the last 8, home prices started rising in January. So keep that in mind. It's not going to have an impact, but we do know that historically speaking, prices will go up after the election.
And I will also say too, you know, it's really important to remember, if you are a buyer in this market and you are thinking, oh, well, I'm going to wait till after the election because I want to see who wins and how those policies are going to change the economy and all this stuff. Like, let's put that into a realistic perspective for just a second. If one candidate wins on the red side, are you still going to buy a house? Probably. If one candidate on the blue side wins, are you still going to buy a house? Probably. Okay, so that may not actually be the barrier of entry to getting into a property. In fact, you could be simply spinning wheels and wasting time, that you could be getting into a home for less money because of the amount of inventory right now. So, you know, if that's the only thing kind of holding you up, is waiting, holding your breath to see who's going to win, it's not going to affect the actual decision. Yes, there's uncertainty in the market, but that's just speculation. Like Mike said, come January, everything will be back to normal. The market will continue to appreciate as it always does. We literally have no doubt.
So that's our breakdown of the market for this month. We'll be back next month with another update for you as we head into the holidays. But if you've got questions about whether now is a good time to buy or sell, definitely reach out to us. All our contact information is down below.